everybody, and welcome to today's special episode of this Organized Life podcast. I am your host, Lori Palau. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see this was an unprepared recording. I'm actually recording this on a Monday, which is normally my office day. And I don't really do hair and makeup or anything on those days. So if you're listening, I probably sound the same as I always do, but definitely this was really an impromptu recording in light of everything that's going on in Los Angeles. I felt it, well, I wanted to, and I also felt it was appropriate to come in and extend our sincerest thoughts, prayers, condolences to everybody out there who is suffering, struggling, has had any type of loss or displacement as a result of the wildfires. Also want to, of course, extend unbelievable heartfelt gratitude to all the first responders and firefighters who have been working tirelessly to put out this devastation. And there are no words to express the gratitude for all of those out there. But I wanted to come in today to just talk about a couple of things that were on my mind in relation to devastation, loss, our belongings, the value of stuff, sentimental items. How do we navigate this? And there's certainly no roadmap, and there's no one size fits all approach. And, it's easy for me to also sit here in full disclosure saying that I've never grieved a devastation, and I hope I never will grieve a devastation like this. I have, however, had friends who have lost their homes to house fires, been victims of loss of homes from hurricanes, and walking with them through that has given me some opportunity for perspective and to look at it. And, in addition to just being a resource for people, there are a couple of things that I've been seeing and hearing over the following, the past days through social media and the news, and, obviously taking things with a grain of salt. But one of the things that that's been very controversial is, people saying, well, if you get out safe, at least, that's all that matters. And yes, on the surface, of course, our primary concern is personal safety, right? We want everybody to be safe. We want our pets to be safe. We want our humans to be safe. We want our community members to be safe. But there's something to be said about the loss of our hopes, of our dreams, and of our memories. And for so many people, watching that literally go up in flames, whether or not you have the financial means to rebuild or not, whether it's your secondary home or not, there's a level of devastation that happens. And I talk specifically here about proactive choices that we make to declutter and live a more organized life. And this is the opposite of this. This is about having your agency stripped from you without giving you the choice to say what you want to keep and what you want to go. And again, a lot of people are like, it's just stuff. We can rebuy it. We can do that. And I get that to a certain extent. There are certain things that people have lost, and I've seen people writing about it, about things that you'll never be able to get back. Some keepsake from your parent that is no longer there, or a spouse that's no longer there, or some childhood memorabilia for your children that you will never be able to replace. And not that you need it for me, but I'm here to give you permission to grieve that, because that is very valid. And even though on the surface, it's just air quote stuff, that stuff had meaning and purpose for you. And so, yes, you can rebuy clothes. Yes, we can redo a kitchen and all the other stuff. But there are things that are irreplaceable, whether that's monetarily, whether that's sentimentally. And my heart goes out to you for having the loss of that, and allow yourself to grieve that. I think it was John Mayer who, I was reading something, and I think he made a statement about saving pictures and how he had this pouch of pictures of his dad. And if I'm getting the story wrong, like, forgive me. But the gist of what he said, and there was a phrase in there that stuck out to me. And he said, it is not just the importance of life, but it's also the stuff that represents the proof of life. And I think for so many people, that is the words that we don't have often have to express what we're feeling when it comes to getting rid of things. That this thing, whether it's the pictures, whether it's somebody's eyeglasses, whether it's you know, a bowl that your mom used when she used to cook or bake or whatever it was, these things represent the proof of life for a certain individual. And for so many people who had this stuff go up in ash literally before their very eyes, that is a level of trauma that is indescribable. And it's different because when we lose a person, we can name that and we can wrap our brains somewhat around that. But when we see people that are grieving a thing, we often, our knee-jerk reaction is either A, to eye roll that, or as the person to feel like you have to dismiss that. And I'm here to tell you that there's value in those feelings, and you should allow yourself to honor that and be sad about something being taken from you against your will. And that's okay. So as somebody who's on a quest for people to live simply and not surrounded by things that don't bring them value, if there are things that are really, really important to you and they were stripped from you, there's a sadness and a grief in that, and it's okay to sit in that. I think also, I I know that the conversations, and I'm just kind of like thinking in real time, so forgive the, the awkward pauses here. Josh and I were having a conversation the other day about if someone were to call us and say, or we got an alert on our phone and say, you have whatever 30 minutes to get out, what are the possessions that you would take, right? Obviously, you would take, we'd want to take our dog and all that, but like, if you only could take a few things, what would it be? And I think it spawned an interesting conversation, because the things that I went after were very different than the things that Josh went after. And we had very different reasons, but it actually spawned a really interesting conversation. I was very in true Enneagram 8, non-feeling, pragmatic decision making, was like, I'm going to go and get our passports, marriage license, birth certificates, and grab that because I know that I can grab them quickly. They're not going to take up a lot of space. And like, that's important information. And as much as I want to take like baby pictures of my kids and stuff, I know that like those are big, bulky things. And that just, as much as I want those things and they're important to me, that wasn't what my first go-to was. It was like, what are you going to do? Without thinking, I was like, that's where I'm headed. I'm headed to our safe. I'm getting all those documents, and that's what we're doing. And I'm getting whatever I can fit in a backpack, and I'm out the door. And medicine. That was another thing. I was like, I'm getting all of our medicines. And that was it. Josh wanted to grab baby pictures and keepsakes, which I thought was interesting as an Enneagram 3 who really truly is feeling at the core, but doesn't sit in it. It was just interesting, and it spawned an interesting conversation, which made me kind of think about, an exercise that you could do about thinking about, hopefully none of us are ever faced in this situation of any type of catastrophic means that you are forced to execute for any number of reasons. But if that were to be the case, what are the things that you would take? If you were in that situation, you were like, we got to go. What would you take? use this as a conversation starter. I'm not saying to gamify it, but like seriously, I think it's an important conversation for you and your spouse to have. And I mean, you can even, depending on the age of your kids, you can ask your kids, like, what is it that you would want to take? These are real conversations that unfortunately a lot of people are had to face when they didn't even have the choice. But if you can identify what are truly the most precious items to you or the most important, then the follow up question is, can you make sure that they are in a place, or are they in a place that you know that you can easily get to them if you need them, so that you could grab what it is and go, whether that's photographs, whether that's, jewelry, whether that's documents, or are they scattered all around? We have an opportunity now, playing Monday morning quarterback or looking on the sidelines, to say, if I were ever in this situation, what could I do to, you're not necessarily stop this catastrophe, but to be able to have some sort of control and agency over what I'm able to take with me. So have a designated spot. Where are those emergency, recovery places? And it allows you, whenever I see any type of tragedy, whether it's a car accident, an illness, a natural disaster, it always gives me perspective to think about, what can I do here to be proactive? Whether it's proactive for myself, whether it's proactive for my family, whether it's proactive for my community. Because I think so many of us, or maybe it's just me, want to try to solve for this, right? We want to solve and make sense of something. You want to blame people. You want to say, well, if you only blah, 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 fill in the blank. And that really doesn't do anything, but it's a lot of times the way our brains try to make sense of things that are just so hard for us to wrap our heads around. But I do believe that as part of the grieving process, and maybe even the healing process, it is helpful to find something proactive that you can do to try to feel like you have a little semblance of control. Because if there's anything that, a natural disaster does, or an accident, or any type of catastrophic event, is it shows us really how little in control we are of of what's going on in our lives. And that in and of itself is scary. And so it got me thinking about the partnership that we have going on this month with our friend Kate Huffnagel over at the Digital Wrangler, and how just having something like, okay, I'm going to have all of my important information centralized in one area so that I have this and I have access to it. And so if the literal stuff goes up in flames, I can still access it. It's not, I don't have to be scrambling. And, I think it's serendipitous that we here at This Organized Life have put this really intentional emphasis on organizing your life, right? Not just your physical stuff, but your life, your medical documents, your financial documents, your household documents, all of your passwords, like all the things that factor into you running your life. And there's so many moving parts to that. And if you can reclaim a little bit of control by saying, I am going to, and not if you're in the catastrophe, because by then it's too late, but now when you have the calm before the storm, to say, I'm going to take a little bit of time to, this is why people like procrastinate on doing a will or procrastinate on getting insurance. Like these are the things. And then when you need it, you don't have it. And that's what I am trying to, I guess, convey to you guys out there, is I don't want you to wait until you need something for you to go, oh yes, I should have done this. Because by that time, it's often too late. And so I want to walk with you to help you say, allow me to reclaim this control, this agency, this being proactive and saying, I know if something goes sideways, if I go missing, someone can get in my phone. If something happens, someone can get into my computer. We can pay these bills. Oh, I have to call the insurance company and literally all my files burned to the ground. I have everything in my, you know, digitally so that I can access our homeowners insurance and I can contact all the appropriate people. And there are tools out there that can help you with that. And I, again, am a personal supporter of the work at the Digital Wrangler. That's why we've partnered with them. And I would love for you, if you are sitting in a position right now where you are grateful that you are not in the same boat as our friends in California, and you are going, oh my gosh, what would I do? What would I miss? What would I lose? What would not make it better, but what would alleviate some of the added stress? And maybe it is something as simple as saying, here's my go to file of all my important information so that I can share it with my loved ones and we can have that. I'm going to drop the link below that explains more about the work that we're doing with Kate, how we're partnering with her on this, because I cannot stress to you the importance of this for every single person out there. I don't care how old you are, how young you are. This is not just something for end of life people. This is something for everyday people. Again, if these fires have taught us anything, if we can learn anything from this, is that at any given time, things out of our control can come in and uproot our lives. And all we can do is try to be proactive however we can and just be there for the people in our lives. Hug your family, hug your animals, be a part of your community. And if you're able to donate something to help the relief efforts in California, I know, we're doing whatever we can here as well to spread the word and to support people out there in whatever way, shape, or form. Thank you guys. I know this was probably a little bit rambly, but I wanted to come in here because, again, so many things that we talk about here have to do with just getting rid of your stuff. But there's a difference between getting rid of your stuff on your own terms and having it ripped from you before your very eyes. And I would be remiss not to recognize the difference in that and say that there's a void and a sadness and a trauma that is associated with that. And finally, if you are listening and you have been a victim of the California wildfires or any other natural disaster that has impacted your life and your stuff and your relationship with stuff, and you need some extra support, please reach out to us. We want to either help you personally or direct you to the right resources to help you navigate that, and allow you to kind of grieve and take that appropriate next step, whatever that looks like for you. So that's it, guys. Again, stay safe, stay well, be kind to one another. And I'll be back next week with another episode. Until then, I'm Lori Palau. Peace out.